What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Apex, the podcast. Boys are here. We are ready to go, and we don't have a whole hell of a lot to talk about competitive-wise, but we do have things coming on the way in Apex in the form of a brand new season. Season 18 is going to be on the way, and we do have some information that we will talk about here and kind of break down in our own minds. We don't have all of the brass tacks, the bare bones, so we can't really get too deep into the theory of how Season 18 will affect comp yet. But that is something we plan on doing when we get more information, and we'll have more talking points to have when we learn all of that info. So, ladies and gents, first, before we get into all of the new stuff with Season 18, let's talk to the boys first. E, how are you feeling?
I'm doing good, man. I've got nothing to complain about and a lot to be thankful for. And it's just been another week of just putting in the work. And I got to take some time off and celebrate my dad's 60th birthday with a bunch of family. That was nice. And then ended up on later that weekend going on like a rafting trip with a bunch of people from my congregation, which was really fun. And that was on my birthday. And so I was telling myself and my wife, I was like, wow, like everybody's at my surprise birthday party, but they just don't know it, you know, just because it was just, if I could have picked something to do on my birthday, that would have been at the top. It was just such a fun time. And then, yeah, not everybody knew it was my birthday. And so, but I mean, I don't really care like that. But it was nice. It was fun.
Happy birthday, Enoch. Happy
Appreciate
birthday. It sounds like a good time. Finn,
Dude,
did you also have a...
Yeah,
I was going to say, aren't you an E right there?
Yeah, well, I think his birthday is the day before mine.
Yeah, so mine's the 29th. I think E's is the 30th of July.
30th.
So
there we go.
It's kind of crazy.
It's been big weekend for the pod.
Yeah.
As far as birthdays go.
And well, I was gonna say we are recording the day of it being officially 1 year of the podcast.
We got 3 birthdays.
So yeah.
Damn.
Oh, let's
this is
go.
the 1st of August, and we had our first episode come out of August 1st of 2022. So we've been a podcast for 2 years now, 1 year. Yeah, mine was similar.
We really just 3 birthdays. Well,
Yeah.
not quite in a row.
Yeah,
but very close.
Very close. January 13th.
So
I'm
close.
Pretty far away.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, no, I had a pretty good week. Nice, George. I had a pretty good week. Okay, so one of the best things. Okay, it might be the most redneck thing, and I need y'all to say yes or no. Okay? So for my birthday, well, I did this. I woke up, went to my friend's baby shower, then went to see Oppenheimer. Great film, by the way. Very long, but fantastic. Then I went to my favorite restaurant, which is called Tokyo House, which is I may have already mentioned it before on this show before. But
You've mentioned it 4 times. You love Tokyo House. It makes me want to go.
Okay, well, yes. So I went there. And then, now this is where the redneck thing is that I'm like, maybe it's, I don't know. Anyway, for my birthday, instead of getting a cake or, the classic, cookie cake or something like that, my family gets me Golden Corral, a Golden Corral, not pan of bread pudding, and that's my birthday cake.
That might be on a Jeff Foxworthy tape, probably.
Yeah, maybe.
You might be a redneck if that might be one of those things. Yeah, I respect it though.
Yeah, it's so good. I don't really go. I wouldn't say I am a GC Lounge, connoisseur or anything, but I do like their bread pudding. But I had a great week leading up to here, and I did have a kind of rough day at work today just because I wasn't playing great, and that's frustrating. And I think I got pretty upset quite a bit today, so I need to kind of regain there. But besides that, I've had a fantastic week. So happy belated to you too, E.
Appreciate you. You as well.
Tight, dude. Wyatt, how was your week, man?
It was good. It was good. I got so it's weird. I I've talked a lot about like my work and what I do for my job and stuff like that, and how there was a time where it was pretty dark, and I've gotten moved into a spot where I'm a lot happier now, which I'm glad I kind of stuck with it. And I'm on the move all the time, which is something I have to do. It's just I can't just sit there. I have to be moving. Otherwise, I'm not very good at working, to be honest with you. I got to be moving around. So I got to be moving around today. The only thing that sucks about it though is it's hot as shit. And so I had to do a lot of that, but I kind of enjoy it. It's almost like I like it better when I'm moving around, and it's like it's hot. I kind of like it better. It makes me feel like I'm accomplishing things. So last week was when I first started, and it's been good so far. So that makes it when I come home, I feel a lot more accomplished. I feel like I'm actually doing something. So that's really cool. I also had one of my coworkers. He DM'd me. I didn't like. I guess he didn't know that I had the show, and he was like, "Dude, you have a show on Apex? I love that game." And he's like a mechanic, and he was like, "I had no idea." So he was like, "Dude, I'm definitely going to subscribe and listen to that," which is cool to see, like people at work listening and stuff too. So it was a pretty good week, pretty basic week. Other than just work stuff and feeling more excited, I get to organize stuff as well, which makes me feel a lot more accomplished because I feel like I'm good at that. So overall, solid week. I did play a ton of Apex once again to try and finish my challenges, and I'm feeling the best I've felt in many many seasons. So feeling really good, and yeah, I'm also excited about all these new things coming up with season 18. Do you guys ever feel it's like I don't know, you probably do, but whenever there's a week before the new season, it is so hard for me to get locked in playing, because a lot of times you see things on the TL, like you see little leaks here and there. You kind of know what's going to happen in the next season. You might see like the new legend and you want to try them out. You see like maybe a new map, you want to try it out. And for me, it's so hard to get locked in that final week right before a season. Do you guys feel that at all or no? Especially with like new rank changes coming.
Oh,
It's been really
I was
hard
just
to.
gonna say it feels like it's been a really long season, so I think I'm just ready to have a new season, start grinding ranked again, and because I didn't really touch ranked. I mean, after about a week and a half to 2 weeks of playing it, and I didn't achieve Fred. I got to like 1,000, which is like an RIP that dream, but maybe in the future. But I didn't play ranked after I did that. When I mean, E had mentioned that I was playing with him and Mandy. That was super fun. But like
That was a
besides
rare
that,
finicky sighting
bro, after that,
where young
I
Finichi graced the battlefield.
that was fun. That was fun. We need to do that
It was a
again.
good time. We can run it back.
Yeah, we'll run it back. But I didn't even um I didn't play ranked. So I think with new rank changes, and I'm just ready to get back on my grind, do my thing. I don't know, just one clip people like I used to back in the old days. That's the whole goal, right? So
That's right. That's right. And that's why we should move on into the next part of the season and talk about what we know so far. So, coming from the main Play Apex account, they tweeted out a picture of a charge rifle that says Project Railgun. And what we can assume here is that there's going to be some charge rifle changes coming to the brand new season. A lot of people are assuming it's in the form of like a Spartan laser Halo type style, which would be interesting. I haven't seen anything to like confirm that at all, but it does seem like that might be something that they're thinking about doing. I know we're all not the biggest charge rifle fans here, but if they were to switch it into that type of weapon, would the same animosity be felt from either of your guys' end?
Um, I definitely think it would add a certain. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, it's basically what it. I feel like it's to a certain extent. The way that it is now is very much like a Spartan laser. Like, yes, it does a little bit of damage, but it's really like that last burst at the end. That's really whether it can like not you really hit a shot or not. Like that's the difference between hitting for like 13 or hitting for 80. And so I don't think that would make it too much of a difference. I do think it would probably make it less effective and probably decrease the use a little bit. But if you're somebody who plays charge rifle and you're a seasoned charge rifler, I don't think that's going to be enough of a change to make an impact. But if that does end up happening, I guess we will find out.
Yes. So that was just one theory that was floating around with it. There's probably many different theories of what can happen with the charge rifle. That is just one of them. But it is going to be getting some sort of change. And that's what we know for now. Moving on into the big one here. There's going to be no legend this season. No legend, just a rework of a very, very old legend who's been around for a long time. Revenant is going to be reborn. They say Revenant Reborn coming to Apex Legends in Season 18, Season Resurrection. So right now what we know, we don't have like any specifics based on the kit. There are like leaks kind of floating around, but we're not going to get too deep into those because there'd be no point. It might as well just wait till the patch notes come out then. But basically, Revenant Reborn is going to be coming in Season 18. I believe Revenant is going to be unlocked for everyone during that season. This comes from Alpha Intel. It says Revenant will be unlocked for all players in Season 18 and can be unlocked permanently by completing quests before the end of the season. A shattered mind fills Revenant with even more rage, bringing him a killer new look and deadly new abilities. Now, I don't know if you guys already saw Revenant's new look. It's a little different. It's a little weird. I don't know. I don't know if I like it. It's really hard to beat Revenant's original look just based on his badassery of the original look. He kind of looks like one of those robots from the movie Robots in this new version of himself. You know, like it's a little tough.
I'd say that's accurate, Wyatt. That's actually pretty. That's actually a really pretty solid description. I think of
Yeah.
I kind of like it. I think it looks pretty. I think it looks more sleek. Granted, I
It's
don't know.
definitely more sleek.
Hey, I don't know if that's like the vibe that Revenant wants to feel, but it's like I think that's from my perspective. I think it looks pretty sleek. I would say.
Yeah, shown a ton of teeth in this look. Just a ton of teeth. Looks like he's smiling almost, which is why I kind of like the old version more. It was just a resting bitch face stare with blood running out of his eyes. It's hard to beat that, you know? It's hard. I think they might have done such a good job on the first design that it made it hard to make it scarier on the second design, which is kudos to them. That's actually respect to them for making it so scary the first time. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it justice on the second run. But it isn't like the worst thing in the world. A lot of people were complaining about it on Twitter. More in my circles, probably less in your guys' circles. But
okay,
yeah,
I have a question. If we can get to it, Wyatt. Since I can't answer, I would love for y'all to talk about what are. I want to know if either of y'all played Revenant in the past, like 3 seasons.
Hell no.
I mean, I messed around on him a little bit, and I'm not gonna lie, the ult is pretty fun. The ultimate's pretty fun to use, and I did like how I could use it to make fairly aggressive plays that just people weren't expecting, just because you can just take the extra HP and just roll with it and just be like, all right, we're just getting in there and be able to make plays off of damage. And so we'll see what happens with that. And I will say that the passive, surprisingly fun and effective, and definitely, in my opinion, something that's slept on in terms of Revenant as a character, is being able to like silently scale buildings, right? And Apex audio is bad, but like you're playing a character who's designed to like not have audio, and so you're able to like just scale buildings and take angles and play aggressive positions that you just on any other character you wouldn't be able to get to without there being a very loud audio or a very prominent visual cue. And so I do think that that's going to be something that people are going to be paying a little bit more attention to, depending on what like how things go and if Revenant's going to be viable. Because if he is viable, that passive is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we don't know if they're going to add to the passive or just completely change it. But I would assume, actually I can't really assume. I don't really know what they're going to do, but that definitely is one of the more interesting passives in the game. Also, the animation when he's scaling a wall is just hilarious. Every time I see a Revenant scaling a wall, I laugh a little bit. It's just a funny visual. It looks like a weird little spider just crawling. But yeah, so definitely an interesting character. I have not played him. I don't think I've played him ever, if I'm going to be honest. I just never. He was always cool in my opinion. I've always thought he had the best like lore video where it was like early on in the Apex like thing where the girl was doing an interview with Forge, and then he comes out of nowhere and just stabs Forge in the heart. That one's hard to beat. That's like a very hard video to beat. So I love all of his lore, and I actually even remember when I remember his trend when they actually like first showed his full video where he's attacking Loba's parents, and he like the dad says, "Who are you?" and then he snaps his neck and says, "Death." That was like a trend on TikTok for a while
It
too.
was
So like,
insane.
yeah, like he definitely has some of the cooler lore out there, and I think he's awesome. I just never was very interested in like his kit and how he played, but
There was a
with
time where he was like super duper meta, and E can probably speak to that as well. But it used to be the obviously the Rev Tame meta. That was right whenever Octane got a change, plus Revenant came into the game, and it was on KC. So, dude, I remember the meta picks back then were Rev, Octane, Caustic, and it was ridiculous because I'm pretty sure there wasn't a distance meter on the Revenant thing, right? There wasn't a distance meter on the ultimate, and then
Mm-hmm.
you could then with Octane Pad you could double jump, and those were two things that were added that made the character so busted. So, but other than that, I don't think I haven't played Revenant in a long, long time.
I think they added both those changes, the Revenant one and the Octane one, in the same season, because it did originally Revenant's ult did have a like a range to it. And I remember when
That's right.
Revenant first dropped, it was kind of a stinker. Like it was one of the few times where a legend dropped and was just completely terrible right off rip. And so they made those changes and at the same time changed Octane, and it was a wild season. It was also a KC season, so that added to the stress. KC is the smallest map, right? Yeah, so that added to it for sure. But yeah, so Revenant is going to be out there. Depending on, I mean, if they're going to go through, the one thing I can assume is if they're going to go through all of this trouble to make this like a big giant thing, I would assume that they would scrap the entire kit and start with something new. So meaning that Enoch's passive that he talked about might be getting changed as well, because I don't see them doing this whole thing and just kind of leave, maybe changing the ultimate. They would, I would assume they would change all of it. But that's just an assumption, and we don't know until we get some patch notes in front of us, and we'll probably be getting those pretty soon. Some other changes before we move on is the mixtape is going to go to Broken Moon, and also like we talked about last episode, new rank changes, rank season with rank changes. So there will be some of that as well. That's all the information we really have right now on season 18. So still a lot of speculation about what's coming next for season 18, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. You guys have any other thoughts before we kind of kick it on down to our interview?
I'm excited for new season. I mean, I don't. Other than that, I'm just excited.
Um, have we talked about the cheating situation so far this season?
You brought it up last week.
I brought it up last week. Okay, because I just want to say it again. We barely have cheaters at all, and so we got a barely any cheater situation. We got a new season. We got them doing their best, which could end up being pretty bad attempt at fixing the rank changes. But we got a lot to look forward to. We got a lot going on. I'm excited. It'll be fun, and it's gonna be fresh. It's gonna be new, and I'm looking forward to it. And guys, like no cheat. I still think that's wild, and I need to like I don't know.
Give them their flowers.
It's so crazy to me. Like we gotta, yeah. Like they definitely. We need to give them props.
That actually, when you were saying it's fresh, it's new, that did bring something up that I think we can talk about real quick. And I don't know if you guys get too much into it, but there has been a lot of like lore stuff going around. Like they've released like two pretty solid videos, um, pretty lengthy as well, with the new Revenant one and the one with Lifeline, Mad Maggie, and Loba and Valkyrie, I think, where they were trying to retrieve some stuff. They've been tweeting stuff out, and then also they had the Loba like little LTM where you have to go through and do all this stuff. And I won't spoil the ending if you haven't played it yet. I will say this though, they have tried to do like stuff like this in the past where you kind of like it's like a lore mission and it's very simple. A lot of times it was you kill prowlers and that's it. And I gotta say, like this Loba one was awesome. Like there was actually times where I was legitimately stumped trying to figure out where I needed to go, and that may just be a reflection of me as a player. But I had fun doing it, and so with what Enoch said, with everything being fresh and new, it seems like they are actually trying on the story part of the game as well. Because it seems like for the last few seasons, it really hasn't been there. And I don't follow the lore intensely by any means, but I do think it generates a lot of hype for the community when a cool video comes out. Like, you don't have to follow the lore really closely to know that when something new, like a cool Revenant video drops, you're watching it and like, wow, that's exciting. And then if you have that kind of mind, you kind of wonder what you see in the video and you're like, is that going to be part of his kit? Is that going to be something like that's what I used to do in the older videos. So that is a cool part that I feel like is interesting, neat. And also they have this node system that just dropped where you can get free rewards basically just by going into a game, pulling out a little nodes tracker, getting the nodes, and then getting a free R301 skin. That is awesome, by the way, and then getting a free Loba skin. That's pretty awesome. So we've said some negative things about the game in the past. They are definitely putting a lot of effort into every aspect of the game. They're making rank changes. They're going into the story. They're adding LTMs that are tied into the story. They're putting things into the casual rank, like casual playlist, so you can do other things other than just play and shoot. And now they're adding mixtape to Broken Moon. So they're trying to touch all bases here. And when they mess up, we tend to shit on them. But I think right now, when they're doing well, we need to give them their flowers and be like, hey, like it's effort. You can actually see it. It's being shown in the game, and I think it'll show in the engagement in season 18. So I'm excited for that.
I was gonna say, adding to that, Wyatt, something that's not talked about, and I saw Weeps tweet about it. Shout out Weeps, featured a guest of the Apex of Pod. He said one thing that did not get enough credit is the changes to the firing range and how good the firing range has been. Dude, I still have fun just going into the range, and you can just create and make up whatever scenarios you want, especially with the dummy chain, like the dummies, and you can practice. You can practice all like with whatever gun, and I don't know. I think that's still super underrated change that a lot of people may take for granted already now.
Yeah, and I believe when they dropped it originally, they said they still weren't done with it, and they had some other things that they wanted to add in there. So I mean, they're kind of touching all bases here. I feel really good about the state of the game for the first time in a long time, because I did take like an extended break from just playing, and recently I've had a lot of fun loading into the game, and I'm the type of guy who likes to do all the little extra stuff on the side. I've been having a lot of fun with the nodes and stuff like that, trying to get all the rewards from it. So when you do stuff like that for the casuals like me, it really feels good. And when you do rank changes and you show that you're actually trying for the guys like Enoch and Finn, then you get the best of both worlds. And that's kind of what we're looking for in this game, so we can keep playing it and we can keep enjoying it, because that's what we've been doing up to this point. And we already have ALGS, which is already incredible. So we got champs coming up in a few weeks. Ladies and gents, that should just about round it out. We'll have more to talk about with season 18, probably by next week. We're going to send it on down to our interview with Oxygen Esports' very own Vane. And it was a great interview. We learned a lot about Vane, and there's some cool little nuggets about stuff that he's gone through to get to this point that were really cool. to learn about. So we're going to throw it on down to him. I'm also going to force myself to grow a full beard for that interview. You're going to see me with a full beard in about 10 seconds. So we're going to hit a quick ad. We'll see you guys on the other side. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Special guest on the show today. We have Oxygen Esports Vane joining us. Vane, my man, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's nice to be here. Tried a couple times, didn't really work out, but we're here now, so feels good.
Yeah, all that matters is we're
Doing
here
good.
now. And you're coming off of an awesome third place performance on the last LAN, and you guys are headed to champs. Let's get into that last LAN a little bit here. It was like your guys' first LAN together as a team, and not only do you guys perform, you make it Sunday, you guys were playing well throughout most of the weekend. What is it about your guys' team that has made it to where even in just your first stint live, you guys are just playing just as good as anybody else out there?
Um, I'd have to say just like fundamental practice. Like we spend probably like 80% of our practice like focusing on just fundamentals and like just repetition of like the basic core things of our team, like comms and just team fighting and our macro, just like on the fundamental level of everything, just making sure those are like as perfect as like possible, I guess. Um, and I could go more into depth, I guess, about fundamentals, like just literally like the core things of like the strengths of our team. Um, how would I say this? Like I don't know whether it's like us swinging something and counting down to swing it, or like someone asking if we should make a play rather than suggesting that we should make a play, or like making the play. Um, just like a lot of just core fundamental things that like if you don't practice, you get punished really hard for. So I would say it's really just fundamentals, to be honest.
I love that you just talked about how you said like how the word should gets used so much in competitive of hey, we should do this or hey, we should do that, but no one ever says, "Hey, we're going to do this" or "Hey, we're going to do that." And so I think that is such a very interesting thing that you guys worked on because I don't think there's a whole lot of people that do that because there's so many. I mean, everybody kind of knows that there are so many hypotheticals that could have technically happened for this play or that play, but
Yeah.
making a play, having it, you with a ton of experience comparatively to your two teammates to be able to say, okay, we're going to make a play. But my question comes along the lines of what is y'all's team dynamic whenever it comes to like IGL and support? Obviously, you guys can all three frag, but maybe speak more into that.
Yeah, I mean, everyone on the team is very smart. And Reeds has like crazy intuition on fights. But at the end of the day, like I have the final say on everything. I'm more so like hard IGL at LAN rather than like some of our online stuff. It's kind of more loose online, but I don't know. I don't know. I guess I just hard IGL'd that a lot harder just because I don't know. I guess all my experience set me up to like do well in that area, but um, I'd say like I pretty much just lay out like the plan of the game, like where we're gonna rotate, when we're gonna rotate, what spots are we gonna take, and like how we would go about like macro things. And usually when we get into fights, like I'll pick the fights that we want to take and stuff, and just kind of like let Reeds and Aiden go from there, um, and let them kind of do their thing. Unless it's like we're split holding and I need someone to anchor, and I'll just tell Aiden to anchor, and I'll just walk up with like bang smoke and just abuse Digi. But most of the time, I just kind of like let them take the fights. I just kind of pick out who we're fighting.
Yeah, and we actually had like a discussion, I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago, where we were talking about there are just some teams that just look so fluid in fighting and it just separates them from everybody else. And out of all the teams, I think we had you guys number one and LG number two. It just seems like whenever you guys take fights, it just happens so quickly. It happens so fast. It's almost like in the blink of an eye, whichever team you
Oh yeah.
guys decide to fight, it's like just over that quickly. You said Reeds has like an intuition about it. Like, what else goes into your guys' ability to just dismantle teams so quickly in these team fights?
I think the biggest thing, and this is also what makes us an extremely good contesting team, or even one of the best ones, but is just not hesitating for any type of advantage that you gain. Like, we'll hit people for 60 and like maybe take away another piece of cover, and we're just on top of them, just taking that and committing to it. We don't really look for like a whole lot of damage or like crack multiple people. Obviously, if we do that, we're just aping. But um, the fights are very quick. I think Reeds is further ahead on Seer than like anybody right now. Um, and I think our team chemistry to back that up. Like, I mean, the Seer scan right now, like you can just end fights in 2 seconds with Seer. Like you hit their front person holding for like 60 or whatever, you crack him, he falls back. Like they don't have any more space. You put them on scan and they're just dead. I think Seer kind of makes fights quick. If it was like a different meta, the fights maybe would be longer, but yeah, I think it's just like zero hesitation off of any advantage we can get, and we just capitalize off of it instantly. It's really hard for teams to like react to that. Like you never want to react to the other team. You always want to be making the play, being the aggressor. Um, so I think that's like the most important thing in team fights for us.
One of the things at LAN that kind of, when we had Aiden on, he kind of said that you guys sometimes have having trouble with your macros and like making the actual good rotations on long rotates and stuff like that. But one of the things that I noticed, and I think our whole podcast noticed, is y'all's macro at land seemed to be elevated. I mean, I remember at one point you guys were right outside command center. You guys waited in storm to then hit a redeploy to then land on top of the compound in between Cascade Falls and Wall, and you guys stayed up there. I think you guys ended up winning that game. I think that was winners finals, maybe.
Oh, when we ratted on
Oh yeah, yeah. You guys
Alliance?
on Alliance, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You guys won that
Yeah.
fight, and then you guys an incredible rotate out of like top command center, go all the way up and over that mountain into that compound, and you guys ended up winning that game. I don't know if y'all would have been doing that maybe 2 or 3 months ago, right? And so I think that's
Yeah.
one thing that I was wanting to ask you, and that kind of leads into what I think Enoch he had brought up on the podcast before, but Psycho on as y'all's coach. Do you think that he has been a big contributor to y'all's success whenever it comes to the macro?
Yeah, 100%. I think Psycho and SWL, I mean, they spend hours and hours, and our sub Muffins. Like our sub is like an assistant coach. I mean, he was on Complexity forever, Complexity sub and coach. Like we basically have two coaches and an analyst, and they put in lots of hours that people have no idea about. They sit in customs. They're trying evac balloons. Trying rotates, thinking of different ways on zones that are hard to like at least get points. They put in a lot of time, and I mean the half of the stuff that they try, like we don't even see, because they just like, well, this is kind of just bad, and we don't even hear about it. So, I mean, from like last Pro League split, like Pro League split 1, like we were just all fighting, and like zero macro. Like Reeds and Aiden were just IGLing together, and we were just fight whoever, and there was no macro. And like at the start of this year, I wanted to try IGLing, and we also got picked up to glitch. So combined like all my zone experience with like Psycho and SWL in them, pretty much just like have a really good system for just hammering macro, pretty much. Because that's like literally the most important thing in the game, to be honest. Macro is like make or breaks your team.
So getting more into the IGLing, you said you wanted to give it a shot. what were some of the avenues that you went down to try and make yourself a better IGL, or even just to help yourself train a little bit more for the role? Because it is the most important. It's like the quarterback. There had to be a lot of work probably put
Yeah.
in behind the scenes to
This
figure it
has
out.
definitely been the hardest thing I've done. Because like it hasn't required. It's like it requires me to be a like to push myself as a player, but also like as a person. Like I never had like leadership qualities, or like I never thought I did. Um, and I was never outspoken, like never loud, like quietest person in the room. Even on past teams. So I mean, even then, like if you watch VODs from like the beginning of this year till now, it's probably like, just like completely different. Um, and to answer what was your question like specifically about?
What were
Just
some
like
of the what were some of the things you used to help you get better? Like if you watch somebody else, if you like talk to anybody
oh,
else, like what some of that stuff.
um, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of it is just watching. I mean, I watched a ton of how like odds, just like ton of sweet odds. I played with Omnu for like 2.5, 3 years. Like co-IGL'd with him. Um, like I have a pretty good like I guess reference for like what I should be doing and like how I could like take that further. I don't know. It's kind of just like a mix up of like all these other styles of IGLing and just kind of like putting them all together, I guess. Um,
What would you say your
that's
style is if you had to describe it? Like, do you think what is something
uh,
that you lean a little bit more on than maybe you've seen others do?
I'd say I'm I'd say I'm more like sweet, I guess, at gelling. Um, because I want the plan to be very clear and like we're very proactive about everything. Like we'll know what we need to do, like ideally like a minute or two ahead of time. Um, and I think Sweet does that as well. He's very like proactive about how he when he has time. Like you can't always just be proactive. Um, but I don't know. I'd say I'm most similar to Sweet. I don't really know a lot about Zero's style. I've heard a lot of people say I'm more similar to him, but I don't really know enough about Zero's style to be honest. I should probably look into that and like go deep in the VODs. But
Hard VODs to
yeah,
find.
yeah, that's true. That's actually a good point. That's probably why I don't know a lot about.
As an IGL, is there anything that you value above anything else when it comes to the rest of your team? Like, obviously, there's only so much you can do. There's a lot that they have to do as well. And as someone who is trying to guide them into a win and into good spots, what is something you want
Um,
back from them in return?
Honestly, the ability to like micromanage situations for an agile is like invaluable. Like, if I can just get to a spot or like navigate or rotate, and then like let them like figure out how to hold the spot and like focus, fire the right people, and like respond to things correctly, and just I can just really focus, especially on like LAN end games. Like that was like an issue I ran into in finals where it's like there's so many more things happening that it's hard for me to like figure out who's winning the game, how we get there, and how we kill them and win the game, or like how we just win the game when I'm like trying to navigate the rotate and then like set up the spot and like focus on living. Like if your players can just do that for you, like you can just focus on how to win the game the whole time. Um, so I don't know. I would say just like being able to micromanage stuff by themselves. Like when you don't have to micro people, it's like invaluable because it gives you that space to just focus on how to win the game.
So you had mentioned earlier that you thought that Reeds was one of the best seers out there. And you also have Aiden, who I've always thought to be one of the best Catalyst players out there. How
Mhm.
big is it for you guys having such comfortable players on those roles? And then free like and that combination freeing you up to play Bangalore on the MNK, being able, because from what I saw, it's like you play a fairly aggressive role because your survivability is so much higher on Bangalore with all of the movement that you have.
Yeah. Honestly, our legend pool is kind of insane. Reed's probably has the smallest legend pool, but me and Aiden could literally play any character in the game. Comp too. Like, give us like maybe a week to iron out some small chem, and like we could play any comp. To be honest, we haven't really played that many comps, but I don't know. Aiden is he can. I don't know. Aiden's just crazy. He's just the most consistent like support role ever. Like he can just play any character. He's on roller, good comms. Like I don't know, guy's a beast. And I mean, just being able to play Bang is just so much more fun than playing Seer. I'm so happy I'm like not on Seer anymore. I think I have like almost like 2K hours on Seer. I'm not even kidding.
You're
That's
not
painful.
you're not the only one. A lot of people on here, and Enoch refers to it as the seer prison. A lot of people have been caught.
100%. You got to.
And
Yeah.
it's a question we ask because everybody you bring it up and they're just like, oh, like they just don't want to be playing seer. Like
No.
it's universally a player that is equally hated and not wanted to
Yeah.
be played, but has been good for so long. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think the Seer rework was really good for us because Reitz just loves playing Seer now. He just plays Seer in pubs all day and just has a blast. Like I don't understand.
Much more aggressive.
I think it's just he just has fun like putting someone on scan and just like one clipping them. I think he just finds it hilarious. But I don't know. I do think like Legend Pool and like people playing like what they want to be playing is and like what they're good at is extremely important. I saw NRG put Guild on Seer today, and Sweet was on Horizon. That was interesting.
I
We'll
was
see how
gonna
long
say
that lasts.
I was playing a little Horizon today,
the
trying to figure out World's Edge because our World's Edge is terrible, man.
where you guys play from?
Fissure.
Okay.
It's not like terrible. It's just like it was really inconsistent.
So what do you think is like the biggest thing about World's Edge that makes it so that you're that much less confident about it and compared to your Storm Point?
I mean that map is just bad. I
World's
really
Edge?
don't like World's Edge, man.
This is a
I would
fairly
love to get off that map.
controversial take. Everybody typically we have World's Edge enjoyers all over
Dude,
the place.
I'm
and
so
now
tired
we
of that
have
map.
our World's Edge hater. We got to get into this.
Yeah, I mean it's just like early game is so unbalanced, and then like I don't know if you're like not deep in zone, it's so hard on that map. Like I don't know, there's just like zero forgiveness for like not being in zone in a good spot, and there's not very many good spots on that map. So it's like from Fissure, we're almost like guaranteed to not get good spots. So it's just extremely hard games because we don't have any priority on like crafters near us. And our edge is super ugly with Alliance and Xed, 100 Thieves. So it's just like, I don't know. I just really despise like the early and mid game on that map. I
If
think
you
the
had-
early and mid game on Stormpoint is really good. I think it's super balanced.
Yeah, we typically get that same answer from everyone as well. If you had to replace World's Edge with the map that's currently in rotation, is there one that can even stack up? Like, do you think that there's one that's sitting there that we should be using?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't. It's been so long since we tried another map, like in a serious competitive environment. Like the game's meta has been pushed so far, and we have like these insane legends now. I don't know. I think Olympus has a lot of potential. I think Broken Moon has a lot of potential. Maybe not Kings Canyon, but I don't know. I think if we like the biggest issue with Olympus was just it's so open and big and just like sniper heaven, but like I don't know. I think back in the day, like that was a big issue because you didn't have any like tools to deal with that. You didn't have any ways of living through that. But now you definitely do. So it's like it'd be cool to like revisit those maps and see if they're actually bad or if the game hasn't progressed enough for them to be playable.
Do you think that would be something that they would look like if there was a big enough roar from the players? Do you think they would give that some thought to maybe do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I think so. I mean, the only reason we're not playing other maps is because every time that they try to push for a new map in comp, everyone is like, no. Everyone just screams no and cries. So,
Which is fair
and
because
the reasons were valid back in
right.
the day, but I don't think they're like as valid anymore.
Right. I think there's just so much comfortability on that map. We had Raven on. Oh man, it was a while ago, but Raven talked about how on World's Edge people are so systematic on that map at this point to where it's kind of hard to get people out of their mold. And something that you were talking about is like there's a lot of zones that are very difficult to get into. And that's the difference between Stormpoint. It is a bit more open in that regard, and it's less punishing for like people that are playing Edge or even have an Edge POI realistically. So,
Yeah.
I would if you actually had to choose between Broken Moon or Olympus, which one would you like to do? Like, which one do you think would work best in a comp environment?
I don't know. I'd probably say Olympus. Broken Moon, I don't know. The only thing that freaks me out about that map is the zip lines.
I was gonna
But
say, yeah.
yeah, zip lines and like
Imagine
evacs are nuts on that map, but also evacs are insane just in general. I also really don't like evac towers. I think that's like the main issue I have right now with World's Edge. Like it was fine until they added evac towers, and now it's just like boring because everyone just gets to zone instantly. And like if you don't have one, you're screwed.
I was gonna say, do you think that that's a reason why people should start running Valk, or do you think you don't think Valk will get back in the meta because of the redeploys?
Yeah, I mean Valk wouldn't even solve the issue because you have to find an ult excel. Because like the main issue with evac towers is like early game. You know, people are zooming to zone. Like we pulled up to our harvester zone in groups, and every harvester spot was taken within 1 minute, or was it 4 minutes? Like 3 minutes till zone shows, and we got there like a minute after that. Every spot in harvester was taken, and we're from Fisher. Like we hit 2 balloons and we're in harvester, and every spot's gone. Like, that's crazy. I don't know. I think Valk. I think Valk is still really good. It's just like I don't know. You don't really need her when you can just get a zone spot every game with evac towers.
I was gonna say earlier, do you oh sorry, Enoch.
No, you got it.
I was gonna say earlier, do you feel like if they were able to somehow, I don't even think this is possible, but Broken Moon just straight up without the zip lines, I feel like is something that would just be pretty close to like something decent. I'm not sure if they would ever even be able to do that, but you know, the only thing we've done with Broken Moon was wasn't there like a Nick Merckx tournament and that was it that they tried with like comp teams?
There's Infam Gauntlet. There was the oh my gosh, what was it called? It was like the National Guard tourney, the Boom TV one that was on that map. And then there's like one more smaller tourney, but I don't know. I mean, the zip lines could be like good for the map. We don't even know. They're bad for ranked because I mean, ranked is a bad game mode, but we have no idea if that map's good or not.
Yeah, definitely worth taking a look into, I would say. Enoch, go ahead.
Yeah, I would love to play some fresh maps, man. That'd be so cool.
So everybody knows you now as Oxygen Vane, but you have had a pretty long and like trying to figure out the right word, a long storied Apex career. Can you get into you getting into video games as a whole, and then just your journey from somebody who is playing Apex to one of the best players in the world?
Yeah. I pretty much was a COD kid forever. Played pretty much every COD. Just no lifed it. I mean, I was pretty casual until like middle school, and then I started playing like game battles and I forget what it's called. It was like UMG, I think. Just playing like
UMG, CMG,
wagers and whatnot. And then like I was getting like more and more competitive, I guess, and COD wasn't really like satisfying that. Like I didn't feel like the game was like that in depth. Kind of, I mean, it's COD, so not to kick COD or anything, but I don't know. I was watching a lot more. Like I started discovering like CS, and like I watched like my first like CS LAN, like, and that like blew my mind. It's like, oh my god, that's what I want to do. So I like begged and begged for a computer, and got a computer. Didn't even have a graphics card, so I started playing CS Source for like a couple months until I like got this really old graphics card, and I was like a Radeon something, and it was all AMD, like super budget build. It was crazy. Like had a Dell keyboard, like school keyboard. Um, and I played CS for like 3 years. I was like, I never really like teamed on CS. I just kind of like really liked the game and just like solo queuing and stuff. So I just kind of like focused on mechanics, I guess, in that game. Not that I was like trying to focus on mechanics. I don't know. I just liked it and liked improving that game. It was fun. And then Siege came out, Rainbow Six, and I instantly like got hooked on that game. And this was probably like my freshman year when I started playing Siege. And I mean, that game pretty much almost got me like I almost didn't even graduate because I was playing so much Siege. Like I played for 4 years and I had like 9,800 hours or something, which is like 2 years. So I was just pursuing that game so hard, joining teams and stuff. Um, but you couldn't compete till you're 18. So like I turned 18 and um, well, so Apex came out like February that year, the year I turned 18. So like Apex came out and Siege was just dying, as like in my eyes, like in my interest. And Apex came out, loved that game, started grinding that game, and then I got an offer to come back to Siege when I turned 18, and I took the offer and regretted it. I was like, wow, this is yeah, I really just don't like this game anymore. The team was super unprofessional. It was kind of like it left a really bad taste in my mouth, so I just left. And just pursued Apex. And yeah, I mean, I guess the rest is history after that. Nothing's really changed since then. Just kept playing Apex the whole time. So
Yeah, and then we, you bounce around from a few different teams, and then you hop on Team Congarna, and from there you
mhm.
guys win, and that was an insane end game right there. That I remember that was like my first big memory of watching ALGS was watching you guys win, and I think it was during a weird time where like COVID made it to where you guys couldn't actually go like in person and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So it was definitely weird. But for you, kind of run through that team in that moment because it was definitely a memorable one.
dude. I mean, that was really life changing that moment. Like me, Omnu, and Scurry, specifically me and Omnu, had been playing together for 2 years at that point. Um, having different teammates. Um, and we ended up with Scurry for a long time, like 8 months, I think, at that point. And um, probably like 3 months before that, because we all had full time jobs, like we were all working. Probably like 3 months before champs, we all just decided to quit our jobs and like hard grind scrims, and it ended up paying off for us big time because I mean we won and it was awesome. So I mean I don't know, I don't that winning that pretty much meant everything for us. I mean, Scurry was about to get kicked out of his house, like him and his dad, like they were struggling. Um, and yeah, I mean, it was an insane moment for all of us.
It had to be scary, all of you guys just like turning in your 2 weeks notice and being like, we're just diving headfirst into this. Like for you personally, was there anything that you had to struggle with during that time where it was just like, holy shit, like this could not work out. We could fail and then it's all for nothing. Was there ever a few moments like that
Um,
throughout the scrims and stuff?
I wouldn't say it was all for nothing. I think my parents had my back for sure. Um, Omnu has a really good family and stuff. Um, I think it was a lot more scary for scurry, tongue twister. Um, just because him and his dad were facing like real like financial situations that were like not necessarily avoidable unless we won this championship. So, um, it was definitely scary though. Um, I don't even. There was so much leading up to that tournament specifically, and I didn't even know how to feel. Like my dad and stepmom were watching upstairs, and like they came down and were screaming, and I was just like sitting there, just in shock. Just I don't know. There's so much build up to that I don't even know how to handle it.
That's really cool. Like because we've seen the moments where they win in person, but you got it like I didn't even think about that. So you were just sitting in your room and your parents just busted through like let's go, like all excited.
Yeah,
Like right after you guys won.
yeah, like 10-minute delay. I hear them 10 minutes later, and they're just screaming, freaking out. Like I'm like running down.
Well,
I'm
wait,
just
so
like
you
in shock.
You
wait,
didn't
so
tell him
you
for 10
won and
minutes?
you
You
didn't
just
tell them
sat
for
there?
10 minutes? You just sat
Dude,
there?
I was in shock. Yeah. Well, okay, listen. So like,
They probably
I
was
don't
like,
know.
you didn't say nothing?
You just
No,
left.
bro, I didn't say nothing. Like, so I don't know, maybe like a year. It wasn't even a year. I think like literally like 6 or 7 months before this tournament, like I pretty much had like an intervention and like got sober and cleaned up. Like I had a really bad drug problem and pretty much family and friends pretty much saved my life. And like I don't know, I struggled through a lot of things before that tournament, and it felt like that was the first time in my life that I like actually succeeded at something and like had value. You know, like obviously the money was really cool, but like it meant so much more. Than that for me. So I think I was just in shock because of that. So
That's amazing, man. And that's even more amazing to know your backstory and that's awesome to hear that you got clean and your friends and family were able to help you through that. That's awesome, man. I think that adds a whole nother layer to that entire win because we've had Omnu on the show and we've talked to him about it in the past and some of the crazy stuff that happened along with that day. But that's awesome to have that moment with your family. I do think it is crazy that did they not hear you kind of like did you make any noises at the end? Were you
no, I was definitely like super hyped for like at least 2 minutes,
mhm.
and then I don't know, I was pretty quiet. I mean, this was like I was like the quietest person ever. So
Yeah.
um, I think I said "let's go" like 3 times, and that was it. 'Cause I didn't know how to handle it, bro. I never really felt anything like that, so I didn't know what to do. I was just like, "Let's go."
What was the decibel level of like the let's go? Was it loud enough for them to think that you had won or was it just like let's go? Yeah.
I don't. They
Sweet.
probably didn't even hear me. No, I mean, it was like a pretty good yell.
Okay.
But I mean, they were up there blasting the TV, so
Yeah. No, then
they probably couldn't hear me.
that's incredible. That adds so much more to that win and that's awesome, man. That's really cool to see. And now you go from somebody who was the quietest person in the world to is IGLing a team to a third place finish in a bigger tournament. So I mean that's just a complete transformation from where you were to where you have been. Has there been any more moments like you said you felt like that was one moment where you felt like you had actually accomplished something? Has there been any other moments now up to this point where you're like, damn, I accomplished another thing? Like has there been any more of those?
Yeah, specifically this past LAN, because as much as like champs was crazy and life changing, like I also like struggle like with mental health. So like I don't know. Half of me is like, I feel like half of me is like proud of like what I've done and like the journey I've been on and the story, and like the other half of me is like robbing myself of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I feel like I have a lot of guilt there that it's just like haven't dealt with. Like, definitely need to see somebody, but I don't know. I think this past LAN like definitely double proved it to me because it's like, the first time it's like, oh, it's online. Like, we weren't like the best team in the tournament. You know, so I don't know. I think I just listened to the wrong. I listened to the wrong voices after that tournament, and it kind of ate at me for a while. And like, going into like, I was pretty much just like high as you could get, and then went back down the next year, like 2022. Had a really bad, didn't didn't qual for any lands. Like left 100 thieves, like very big low point again. But to come back out of that, and to kind of like prove it with the two teammates that I have now, like without a doubt, like I can feel proud, of what I've done.
Oh yeah, 100% you should. And I definitely understand and can empathize with what, what kind of what you're going through in those moments because like yes, technically a lot of people might say, "Oh, they won, but they weren't the best team." But you were. You won. That's just facts. Like you won the whole thing. So you were the
Yeah,
best team. And not only have you done it with that team, you have stuck with these two teammates for a really long time, which I want to get into because in esports, especially like there's a lot of turnover all the time. It seems like people are consistently just moving teams, jumping around, and you can't really
yeah.
blame them either with how tough it is to kind of make it in the scene. But with you and the rest of the boys, you guys have stuck together for a while now. Was there any time throughout that entire journey where you thought maybe it was just not going to work between these two and maybe you might have to make a switch, or you thought maybe they might want to
Between
move on without you?
Omni and Scurry or Reeds and
Between
Aiden?
Reeds and Aiden.
Um, Not really. I think after like our first Pro League split, I was like, okay, well, I mean, we're just out here just shitting on teams and fights. Like, we got to keep playing, um, and just like work it out because this is like no one just does that. That just doesn't happen. Those guys were insane. Um, and I mean, the only thing that we had kind of prepared for was Aiden getting poached, which people tried multiple times. But I mean, honestly, that's a better question for Aiden because he pretty much said no to everyone. And I mean, this is at a time too where like, we aren't necessarily the best team. We don't know exactly like our potential. There's no way to tell. I mean, we know we're like really good, but like, I mean, to turn down, teams like Dark Zero and Sentinels and, others, I think that says a lot about Aiden, to be honest. He's a believer, bro. As much as I am, because I hate the fact that like teams just switch players in and out all the time, but I mean, it's not necessarily realistic to just grind with the same people because I mean, it takes time to develop players and to like develop talent into results. Like, it takes a lot of time to do that. So, a lot of time and resources needed.
Oh, kind of getting off of the comp side of things. What are your overall thoughts on the state of Apex as a whole, and then as well as Apex Ranked? If you want to get into that a little bit.
Oh man. Yeah, I think as far as ranked goes, I I hope this isn't the case, but I feel like we've reached a point of like irreversible damage to the player base. Like I think it unless there's new ranks, like all new ranks and a completely different system, not completely different, just like one that's a little bit more like a rank system. like people aren't gonna want to play anymore. We've had what 2 million people hit master. Like, what are those people gonna do when they like make a more competitive system and they're just stuck in gold? Like, are they even gonna want to play? I don't know. I hope that they haven't like caused, like damage, as in like people reaching high rank and then just never being able to again because the system has changed. Like, I think people would be very upset at that. Um, but I don't know. I have a lot of faith in Respawn. We'll see how it goes. But the rank system right now is terrible. Like, it is bad. It's like laughably bad. As far as like the state of the game, I think the legend meta is really good. I think it's pretty diverse. Minus Seer, minus that one character. I think the meta that we have right now is actually, you can kind of play a lot of different things that are a lot different. Like, you can play Newcastle. Newcastle plays extremely different than like lots of Rampart. And there's fighting comps. There's Horizon Caustic teams. There's Horizon Seer teams. There's Bang Seer teams. There's Bang Horizon teams. Like, there's a bunch of different comps right now, which are all like good for different reasons. That's like what you want. Gun meta though is beyond terrible. Is the most stale meta ever. I don't know. Hopefully there's like some gun changes, because it's already Prowler, 30-30, charge rifle, and that's like the only guns I see in comp. That's a little bit more diverse and ranked, and Nemesis, of course. But yeah, I'd say the game's in a really healthy state. Guns are stale, but yeah, other than that, I think the game's really good right now.
So to kind of back it up a little bit, and I did mention that the macro is one of the biggest reasons, but I was wanting to get your input on maybe other reasons as to why you guys didn't necessarily have the most consistent split too, where there would be days where you guys would like,
dude, yeah, we can totally.
yeah, you guys would get second
It's 'cause
place
they added
or
Mirage Voyage next to our POI halfway through the split.
that's fair. I do.
What are they doing?
I want.
What is that?
I want to get into that. What?
Oh, we almost lost a land spot because they added Mirage's floating spaceship next to our POI.
Right.
I just can't believe that.
So besides that, what do you think are the biggest reasons why you guys were kind of inconsistent and kind of snuck your way in to this, like, split 2 playoffs?
Yeah, I think a lot of the inconsistency just came from, I think, just our fundamentals. Like, we didn't necessarily understand the value of them. Like, we would practice them a lot, but we didn't start really like hammering down on those things until like halfway through the split. Because like, you'll have like a good 4 games in a set, and then like you'll have a bad game, and then you still need that 5th game to like, place your top 5, which you need to qualify for lands. And we would just kind of have like the weird, like, just small mistake that would cost us a lot of points or something, or not even a lot, but just nuke a game. Whether it's like misdoing a rotate, placing a cat wall wrong, like misunderstanding comms, too many people talking, like, it's just like small things like that within the team chemistry. Because, I mean, post Pro League split, like, all we focused on is team dynamic and like roles, pretty much. That's like all we focused on. Because we were so focused on like macro and stuff that we didn't really. Our team dynamic was like awful. Like, our comms during Pro League were terrible. They're all over the place. So I would say that would be the main reason, other than the Mirage Voyage, which further complicated things.
I saw y'all I saw at one point you guys were taking it from Fissure. I think you guys were taking Mirage in finals, I think, maybe?
Yeah, no, we claim that. People have tried to land there, and we just land on them and kill them. Like, we do not want teams landing there.
Okay, so that's what I was gonna say.
It's just a part of our POI now.
I gotcha. Okay, so because
Yeah.
it used to be for a pretty long time, it felt like staging, specifically NRG, was taking that, and so now you guys kind of claim that. And did you guys have to fight NRG for that, or
No.
no? Okay,
They're actually fighting us now since today.
like for it.
But
Okay,
yeah. But that's probably because, they realize that you can't just play Rampart every game and hope that you get a beacon.
yeah, especially from staging. Are they still there right now? Or I mean, okay, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah, they're still there.
well,
And we're just 3v3ing on Mirage. So
I do think having Mirage actually helps the overall quality of y'all's loot from Fissure. I do.
Mhm.
I think maybe you could speak to why you guys chose to go there, but one of the biggest reasons is the loot's pretty confined to a smaller space, which means easier rotates. But the harder thing for that, like for you guys, is you have a countdown in front of you. You have Skyhook in front of you on some rotates, and so how do y'all kind of navigate? Don't go too much into strategy, of course, but like, how do you guys navigate having so many teams in front of you whenever you guys are trying to rotate?
there's really only like few zones that we quick rotate for, and those games are always the riskiest for us because like quick rotating, especially when you're like behind teams like we are at Fissure. If you're not necessarily paying attention or you rotate the wrong way and run into a team, like your game could just be over with 0 points. But I'd say like the best. I don't know. There was a ton of trial and error that we did to like get around these issues, and it's mostly just knowing how the team next to you plays. That's like a huge thing that I base our games off of. Like who's next to us, where do they rotate most commonly for zones? Like as much as I know how we rotate to every zone, like I also know exactly like how our neighbors rotate too. That's like a huge thing that you can use. Because the one thing that was super inconsistent for us on World's Edge forever is just early and mid game. Like our rotates were so hard because like so many teams in front of you. It's hard to like navigate. So just like knowing where they rotate on pretty much every zone like helps a ton.
Okay, so this is how this segment goes. It's called Double Tap. What I do is I say 5 statements to you, and then you respond with 1-word answers, and we're going to go at a quicker pace.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Number 1, aim assist.
Nerf it.
Number 2, support legends in Apex.
Giga Chad.
Number 3, biggest change you want next season for Apex.
Ranked.
Number 4, Oxygen Esports' biggest strength as a team.
Staff.
Number 5, Oxygen at Apex Champs.
Ooh. Winning.
Nice.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And we got to talk about champs a little bit here because, it's coming up and you guys are getting there. It's getting close. It's going to be a fun time. Hopefully. What's your guys' mindset going into champs? Obviously, I think every team is like, hey, we can win this. And it's, pretty basic, but going into it, is there any strategy you guys have talked about or anything that you guys are like, we want to go into it with this kind of mindset. This is how we want to perform going into champs?
I think the 2 biggest things are take more risks, and especially in finals. Take more risks in finals, and like just somehow squeeze more out of Aiden and Reed, and let them kind of shine more. Because I did a lot of frontlining this LAN, probably just because bang meta and Stormpoint, and just like you're always split holding on that map. So I'm like constantly have Aiden anchor and stuff. I want to do less of that. Like I want him to just be farming. and him and Reese. Like, I just want them to just absolutely farm a chance. So, I think those two things.
Would that mean
Let the reins loose on them, you know?
I was gonna say, does that
Just
mean
go
that
crazy.
you're are you gonna step more into a supporting role at that point, or does that depend on like legend comps and situation?
I don't know. Maybe not on Stormpoint. It'll probably stay the same on Stormpoint. But for World's Edge, we are trying Horizon, whether I play Horizon or Aiden does. I kind of want Aiden to. So, yeah. Because I think the key to fixing World's Edge is literally just letting Aiden play Horizon. I think that's literally it, bro. Just let him on Horizon. He's just gonna farm.
There we go. Well, Enoch, I'm sure you got your question lined up.
I do have my question, but I want to ask another one.
That's why I
right
led this
before
way.
there we go. But Vane, so you mentioned staff as one of the biggest difference makers, and we talked about Psycho as a coach, and we talked about SWL as an analyst. But someone we haven't talked about is Thornton Smash. So can you give us some insight on all of the value he provides to the team and just his role in you guys being as successful as you are? Because as a team, you guys have, it seems to be like more infrastructure to your team than any other Apex team. Like you guys have a manager, you have a coach, you have the like analyst and the sub, which you said acts as an assistant coach.
Yeah.
So just giving us insight into that.
Yeah. We have a ton of staff. To put it simply, like, we wanted to stay together and we wanted to like develop ourselves as a team and like as players. And if we didn't have staff, it would take us like twice or three times as long to do that. Like, I don't think we would have necessarily qualified for this LAN if we did not have staff at the start of the year. I think that's like the biggest difference. Is like it takes time to like push yourselves as players and as a team in this game because there's so many things you could improve on in this game. It's so hard. So like just being able to delegate and divide it up is like super beneficial. But Thornton's ready to go. I mean, this guy like he has a lot of experience like in business and finance. So like, you know, he negotiates our deals and stuff for us. Tries to like secure sponsorships for us, and he has a pretty boom in YouTube. So he like knows his way around content and socials. So as much as he is like a manager who manages, you know, the logistics and everything, he also provides like, you know, like a more like socials value to like orgs. Because I mean, me, Aiden Marines, we're not like the most popular streamers ever, and like our YouTubes are not busting. So like having Thornton also helps in that avenue too. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's just the guy. He's just like the team dad.
Nice. And so the last question, and the question that I always ask everybody who we have on, because everybody who we have on is performing the top 1% of their field, and you are undeniably in that in terms of Apex comp. What is one piece of advice and something that you've learned to get to this point that you're at now that you would be able to give to somebody that, regardless of the field that they're trying to become the top 1% in, something that would be able to help them get there?
I think the biggest thing is you have to enjoy, or at least focus on your like day to day, like day in and day out. Like every day has to be like intentful, you know? It's hard to get to the top of your field if like you feel like weeks are just going by. Like nothing is coming from it. You know? you have to like enjoy the road that you walk, or else you'll never like reach your goals, I think. So, I just think it's really important to know the road you're walking and to enjoy it. Um, and yeah, just get the value out of the improvement every day, and being intentful with your time.
Beautiful, man. Well, Vane, thank you so much for hopping on, and it was an honor to have you on. Actually, very, very cool to learn a little bit more about you on like a deeper level. I think a lot of people can relate to that, and I think a lot of people are struggling with similar things. So to hear your story and to hear where you came from and what you were able to overcome is really awesome. And so thank you once again for hopping on, and we're gonna be watching you here at this Champs. We're gonna be keeping a close eye. Hopefully, next time we have you on, you'll have a second trophy behind you there on that
Yeah,
on that
that's
little
what I'm
shelf.
saying. Then I'll have an excuse to like make a case.
Yeah, there you go.
I know
There
it's
we
just
go.
like sitting there.
Yeah, you just gotta, you
But
just
I
gotta
mean,
walk.
I mean, like who's gonna be Howler Zero if we don't? Like, who is it gonna be?
We were talking about that, dude.
No,
we were
that's
talking
true.
about
We were
that.
talking. Somebody's got to. Somebody's got to do
Somebody's
it.
gotta
Somebody's
do
got to
it.
do it,
And
bro.
see, you guys, I'm not gonna lie. I was super like pleasantly surprised to see how well you guys did this land, because I was thinking of like teams who like could not do well. I was like, well, the Oxygen boys, like, pretty sure this is all their first land, so like it could go like not as well as you guys would have expected. But you guys looked like you were just on fire, and so the fact that you're going to be able to go into this next land with the confidence and the experience and everything that you learned this last one, you guys are going to be.
Mhm.
If
all
there is
coming
a
together.
team to do it, why
know,
not?
man.
Why not you guys?
I might have been sent the script early. I don't
Yeah.
know.
There we go.
I might
Okay.
have read the script, bro.
It sounds like the way you're talking about the script sounds like it's a good script. Sounds like you are like it's a great script for you guys.
I mean, technically, you would be one of the only other people that has won a championship in ALGS. You know, if you, the only difference is the land situation. You got to
Mhm.
get one on land, and then we can start. We'll be like
Yeah.
the biggest advocates for the Vane campaign.
Yeah.
Ooh, that rhymes.
Yeah.
The
Then
Vane
without a doubt, I can
campaign?
like
Dude, the
beat
Vane
myself.
campaign.
Dude, the Vane campaign. Dude, that's a
Hold up, we
hashtag I'm
gotta-
starting. I'm starting a
start a-
hashtag on Twitter.
Dynasty after champs.
That's right. That's right. That's
That'd be
awesome,
crazy
dude.
though. I'd be what, one of three IGLs
One of
to
three
win land?
IGLs to win land. Yep.
Pretty- yeah,
and you would
pretty good
automatically
company.
just put yourself in like top 3 contention.
That'd be
Because
crazy.
like, you would have been one of the only.
I've only been
yeah, you'd
IGLing
have
since
been one of 3.
January. Like what?
Yeah, but people don't even know that.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
No, that'd be nuts.
Yeah, but once
Very
again,
exciting.
like I said, man, thanks for hopping on, and next time we talk to you, hopefully that other trophy is accompanied by another one, because it's not really a
Yeah.
case. It's not a trophy case if there's just one. You need like a
Yeah.
few. You need to stack a few. Of
Yeah.
them. All right, man.
That's-
Once again, man. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
We
it's a
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Yeah. Thank you guys for giving me a platform.
Of course.
All right, ladies and gents, that was Oxygen Esports' very own Vane. Thank you to Vane for hopping on the show. It was a very good interview. Actually, it was one of those where you stopped the recording and then we talked a bunch more after that, which kind of secures in your head that he's going to be coming back on and we're going to have a lot more to talk about. So shout out to Vane for hopping on. He was very cool and very good story. Really liked his story. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on him. Boys, what'd you think?
Dude, I like that he opened up, a little bit about, his past and having his family be able to support him. I also think, and I think Omnu did talk about them all quitting their jobs and then just going all in on Apex. I think that was pretty respectable, and it makes me want to get Scurry on to hear it from his perspective as well, just to get the full trio for whenever they won in 2021. But yeah, I loved having him on. It was a long time coming, and we are like on board to have. I'm okay with having Vane be the next person, like to be the person that wins champs at LAN, because then we can have another name like thrown into the pot, and I would love for it to be him. I mean, I think he got a lot of fans from that interview. I think, from my perspective.
It would be super funny if he was the one, because you have two, like, I feel like all the IGLs are very talkative, very like loud, very boisterous, and Vane's just kind of quiet. He's just like kind of reserved. just keeps to himself a little bit. He basically told us he barely talked until like this last upcoming season, and then he changed up to be the IGL. But it would be funny to have all those personalities and then just have Vayne just be like, hey, just hanging out from there. But yeah, it was really, really cool. And then we came up, I think it was off the interview. Was it off the interview or was it on the Vayne
Dude,
campaign?
I don't think it was on. I don't think.
Damn.
Dude, I don't think we
That's a
put
missed
it.
opportunity.
Or maybe it was. If it was at the very, very end. So people may have already just heard it. But if not, I still think it's worth saying again because that's what we were gonna do. We wanted to make the Vayne campaign for them to win LAN. I think that'd be fun. That's gonna be a new hashtag.
Yes, we're there for the Vayne campaign. We're gonna be watching. I wonder if this new season 18 patch is going to be the one at champs, because that could change so much.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know if they'll end up doing the patch because I don't know what patch they're using. If they end up, it would make sense if they use the newer patch, like the stuff that's fixing to come out. It would make sense because then it would be 2 months before champs, right? I think it's 2 months from now. So that would give people enough time to get used to whatever patches or whatever changes end up happening, or I think that's enough time. Whereas they wouldn't want to make a change 2 weeks before champs, and then they say, hey, oh yeah, by the way, you have 2 weeks to practice that. Like, I don't think that's fair. And I know Tab and Shaheen want to keep the competitive integrity up on Apex. So I do appreciate the timing of all of the changes in the new season and what that means for champs. So, but yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with Oxygen. But one last thing, and then we can go on. But unless you got something. Do you got anything?
No, I think you guys covered it.
Gotcha. Okay. I really thought one thing that was very interesting is what they have, like 6 different people on their team, including is it Shiny or Muffins? Yeah, someone who leaks, Psycho, Thorn Smash, and then is it Muffins or Shiny? I think it's Muffins, right?
Muffins.
Yeah, it's Muffins.
Yeah, it's Muffins.
It's just like, that's a lot of people in one room that are wanting a team to succeed and doing whatever they can to make a team succeed. Whereas some people don't.
Sheer willpower,
dude. It is, right, and they don't even like, some teams don't even have coaches, and like that.
Like they're like, they have like double the roster of some teams,
right?
Because like if you have like 3 players, you have 3 willpowers working like intently on achieving your goal, and that's like at best if everybody on the squad is absolutely locked in and dialed. Then you have you have teams like that are like that. You got 3 whole different people that are all focused on this team doing as good as possible. Like, there's inherent value in that alone. And they got basically an assistant coach as a sub, a coach, and then an analyst who are just putting in absurd hours off stream, off everything, just putting in the work while nobody's watching. Then they just feed these already incredibly talented players all of this information that other people just simply won't have access to because they haven't put in the man hours to get it. And it shows why they are as successful as they are. And because, I mean, they're just going extra miles that other people aren't.
Not only that, but they also have Thornton Smash, which his YouTube is giant in the Apex community as far as just like what he brings to the table. So you get the aspect of the analyst, the coach, the assistant coach, and then you also get the guy who can bring the hype and get the team more eyeballs on them to kind of create that, that hype around them. Where you look at teams like TSM, NRG, they kind of made it from being first. What Oxygen is trying to do is make this team one of those teams that people want to root for because of all of the people they have surrounding it. And so I think that's actually really huge. And I think if other esports or esports organizations are trying to find a way to replicate or to get to a place that like Energy or TSM is, this might be a strategy on how to do it. And it's not easy by any means because they have a lot of big names. I think someone who leaks is very huge on Twitter as well. And for a while, his YouTube was popping. So their analyst even has some juice to him. But all like they kind of have like this perfect storm going about them where people are going to start like heavily rooting for this team. And it was like they found all of the things at the right time, and all of the stars aligned perfectly for them. So shout out to Oxygen, man. Shout out to Oxygen.
Oxygen stocks going up.
Up, 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 up. Yes.
Are they officially
are.
a dark horse, by the way, for champs, right? Like, you got to think.
No, I
They
mean,
might be better than a dark horse.
Why not? Why not them? I mean, yeah, they could. I mean, they're coming off their last competition, like serious LAN, in third. Like that is a momentum gaining. I would definitely think that they are at least in contention to be on your top 5 again. I feel like they got to be in consideration. And I mean, somebody eventually has got to win a LAN that's not Zero or How. And why not the Vayne campaign, you know?
I'm ready for it. I'm ready to see it. I want the Vayne campaign. Okay, boys, let's do a quick little thing that we haven't done in a very, very, very long time. We're going to do some Apex hypotheticals. We've got 2 kind of interesting ones here to round out the show because, like I said, there's not too much stuff going on in the competitive community as we speak, other than like Bluebird fights, which those happen all the time.
They just started international scrims, and they didn't even have a second block today because scrim quality was so bad. So
yeah,
that tells you how much.
So that's where we're at.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. Okay, so the first hypothetical, kind of interesting here. If you could change anything about one map, anything at all, could be any part, any movement style, whatever it may be, anything about a map, tell us what it would be and which map it would be for. Finn, I already know. I think you already had your answer, so go ahead.
Yeah, I am a sucker for for KC. Maybe all because I started, OG map, everything. I don't know. I just love it. I really do. I love the map, even though it's probably not the best map, but it's my favorite whenever it comes to pub specific. But what was that, season 3 or season 2, maybe even season 4? Whenever they made KC have like the dinosaurs or whatever, and like kind of destroyed bridges, which was my favorite POI. But it seems like the cage and that kind of mid part of KC is really hard to navigate and like kind of barren. So what I would like is something in the middle, maybe another POI right next to cage, or I would like maybe my little spicy side pick was going to be, what if they had like tubes or something, like you could ride on top of a tube like down the river or something. I think that would be fun, but sounds not very great, but that sounds like something Fortnite would do, but I think it would be funny. But I think I would change the middle of KC, but that's something that I don't know, just because I love it so much. I think that would be good. It would make KC mid game maybe a little bit better because people rotate through there quite a bit, but it's kind of barren.
I am gonna. Mine's a fairly similar answer, and World's Edge is probably my favorite map. And for a similar reason, Offend was like, I really started playing the game in season 3, which was like when World's Edge came out, and that map was just so much fun. And it's like when I was just running around like pubs, just doing the thing. And I would love to see a World's Edge where it's like an OG. Actually, yeah, I take the center of the map and make it the OG World's Edge like season 3 map, except for maybe take out Train Yard because I thought that place was dog shit, and somehow put a like version of Harvester. I don't know how that would work out logistically speaking, but somehow make something like that work. Maybe like a mini Harvester. I don't know, but I think that could be really, really nice. Or maybe even just keep it landslide. But definitely like OG, like East and West. Oh shoot, what's it? What was the OG name? I'm just completely spacing.
It was called Cap City at the beginning,
Yeah,
and then
Cap
it went
City.
East
Oh
and
my
West Frag.
gosh.
You're good,
Yeah,
bro.
Cap City. Getting like OG Cap City up. That'd be
Those
a
were
fun
the
time.
days. Those were the days. That was kind of mine. I was thinking about that, but I also thought of something else, and I don't even know if I'd really make a change to the map. But I do think that within mixtape, they should throw in original World's Edge and original Kings Canyon, and maybe just update the loot on it. I think people play mixtape to get away from the BR, except in this case, if the BR was to take you back to your original days on those two maps. I think people love talking about their memories from original Kings Canyon and original World's Edge. Maybe you go on like a 2-week cycle where one rotation is Kings Canyon for only for 2 weeks, and then you throw it in with the team deathmatch, the control, and the gun run. And then you have that BR version of Kings Canyon there because it's a 15-minute cycle, right? So you basically just play one BR game. By the time you're done, most likely, unless you died first, you're, in a different game mode. So you get to play one BR version, and you get to do it on an old map that everybody misses and loves. And then you do that for 2 weeks, you switch it over to World's Edge, and you get all those old POIs. That because World's Edge for me was really when I fell in love with the game. I did love the game already in Kings Canyon, but that map, the original version of it, was like that was it. Like that was the moment where I was like, yes, like this is the game. So then you could switch between those two, leave it in mixtape. And like I said, I don't think it would really clog anything up because I actually think it would bring more people to mixtape because you would just want to play those older versions. And for the people who didn't play, I've actually found that there's a ton of people who just started playing maybe season 7, season 10 because they just didn't know. They would get to experience what we all got to experience, us day one players who got to get all of those feelings and do all that, experience the what was the thing in Kings Canyon, the dead forest. It was just
Bro,
there was nothing
it was
there.
just like nothing, dude. It was like
Yeah.
the tiny little compound, and then what was it? It wasn't Cascades. It was like it was north of that technically on the map, and it was
Yeah.
oh, bro,
What
why
was it
can I?
called?
I cannot think of it. It's now where
It was like antenna or something like that.
yeah, I can't
Because it had a big antenna on the front.
Yeah, it did have a massive antenna.
I don't remember though.
That was
But
gross.
yeah,
Actually, now thinking
yes.
about it, wow. I'm glad
Some
they
of the
ended up
games-
changing that, dude. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's the other thing too, is you could also kind of remember, you'd be like, yeah, I remember the good moments on this, but also it's round 1 and there's 3 squads left because everybody went to Skull Town. So, you could also kind of tone back the nostalgia a little bit there. But I do think it would be fun because, like I said, it's just in mixtape, and you drop in there, say you drop Skull Town, maybe one of those 5 games you come out the champion of Skull Town and you win the game and you're like, oh, that was sweet. I miss these days. And then you go back and it's back to normal and you can go play, all the other different game modes and stuff like that. I think that would be cool. But to answer the original question, I would just take the zip lines out of Broken Moon. I actually think it has like a good setup without the zip lines. I imagine what it would be like, especially now with the balloons, the deployable balloons that you can kind of carry with you at all times. I would like to see what happens with Broken Moon in that case, because it does get a lot of hate. I think it came at a really bad time, and the zip lines definitely don't help anything on that map. So I would like to see what Broken Moon could bring to the table without it.
Would you would you want to continue on with that, Wyatt? Would you want to have redeploys like the stationary ones where you don't have to do the mobile? Like if you get rid of the just thinking about it hypothetically, if you get rid of the rails, you would have to have some sort of like rotation. Since I don't think that map has, they don't have tridents. I don't
No.
think.
Maybe what if we did tridents instead of the balloons?
Would you rather
Do you
have
need 'em?
tridents instead of balloons? Okay.
I think so.
Wait, no
I think-
balloons? No balloons, period?
Yeah, you could have mobile.
Uh,
You'd have mobile ones.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you
Dude,
think?
those things are so nuts to think about.
What?
Like if you think about like OG Apex, and then now we're at the point where we have just portable evac towers that are just an item that you
Yeah.
could potentially have 3 of them on a team, and evac to evac to evac.
It is insane. Actually, you know what? I'm changing mine. Although I do think the Broken Moon one was good, I'm changing mine to I would take out Fight Night of Olympus. I think Fight Night, despite how cool it is, it's awesome. I think it ruined a big chunk of that map, or at least move it to where the rift is and put it inside there. Because I think it just messes with that entire bottom portion of the map.
Man, do
And
you
Olympus
hate the
is my-
Rift? Are you like a Rift hater?
I know I don't hate the rift. I like the rift, but the Pathfinder place right next to Carrier and right next to
Docks
Docks,
and Turbine
it's just Turbine. Everybody lands
and
there.
Energy.
Yeah, it's like all right there. They need to move that one, maybe even further than rift. Maybe even like across the map, opposite side.
I think it's called Power Grid. My bad. Energy is like in the middle, but dude, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's right in the middle of everything.
And it's right next to Turbine, so you just kill everybody there, and then you run through. And I just feel like it's ruined the map as far as second circle, 5 squads left, and you're like, all right, well, sweet, that was cool. That's gonna be my final answer. That's gonna be my final answer. Okay, good hypothetical. We're gonna round it out with one more, and then head into our heart to heart. This one's also interesting. I've asked this kind of before in the past, but I think we could get like a more solidified answer from everybody here. Let's say, for instance, you're handed the keys to Apex Legends for a day. You are the CEO of Apex Legends, and I'm not talking about Imperial House CEO where you're just the best at ranked. You actually are running the ship of this game, and you can make one major decision on the future and arguably change the game forever, whether it's structural, like inside, or just something that, maybe, I don't know, anything. You can change one thing about this game. What would it be? I would also like to hear the listeners' answers in the Discord as well,
Or tweet it.
because it is tough. Or tweet it. Yeah. We might do that as well.
I don't want to go first.
Why? I think you're gonna have to lead the charge on this one.
Okay.
Mine isn't specifically about the game. And also, you
Yeah,
threw me
like-
off with the 1 day thing. Like, if you're it for 1 day.
I kind of just meant like you get
Yeah.
one big choice, but no. I figured you'd do that on the first day. That'd be terrible if they handed you the keys and you just slept the whole day and didn't do shit.
That'd
be kinda tough. I think what I would do is I remember a while back I heard, and I don't even know if this was 100% correct, but I heard that they axed Titanfall 3. And the way I assumed it was going to be was they were going to have like a kind of Call of Duty Warzone situation where you have Call of Duty the game and then Warzone the BR tied to it, right? So you had both options there where you could play the campaign or play multiplayer with your friends, or you could go in and play the BR version of the game in Warzone. I think Titanfall 2 is a cult classic. People who played that game love that game to death, and people are still playing that game to this day. Somebody hacked Apex Legends to get his point across that Titanfall needed to be fixed, right? Like, that's how much people love this game, and that's where we got Apex Legends from, is Titanfall 2. I think it was a giant fumble to cancel that project, because I think if you were able to implement even half as good of a campaign as Titanfall 2 into Titanfall 3, tie that to Apex Legends, make it one kind of like area, like a Call of Duty, and then you expand upon the mixtape version. So you add in more game modes with these same characters, with these same abilities, all this stuff, and you make it like its own. It's like you would never really have to leave the game. If you enjoy the BR version of Apex, I believe it'd be hard for people to be like, oh, I love this so much. Let me just go play Call of Duty where the TTK is 0.5 seconds. I die instantly. And, I'm doing this in multiplayer. I think they would want to play the mixtape versions of all these different game modes. Imagine if Apex had a capture the flag, a search and destroy, like an actual objective, similar to what was the game mode they had for a while? Arenas. They have arenas, but with an objective, right? So you have all this stuff, and you get to pick. You get the Titanfall 3 campaign, or you get mixtape, but expanded, or you get Apex Legends, the BR version. You may never leave that app. The second you turn on your PC, your console, whatever, and you load into this, you may never close it because you just have so many options to you with this incredible game, with its movement, with its high TTK, all this different stuff. The reason why it makes it so good, you get so many different avenues to play the same thing. So I would unaxe Titanfall 3, and I would continue with the production of that, tie it into Apex, keep it all the same. And I think for everyone, you get a massive franchise, you get a massive game that actually could survive 10 plus, 15 plus years. That sounds like a lot, but I mean, we're already on, what is it, year 4 or 5? And games don't typically last like this, like this long, like we have with just a BR. And we're there. So I think the structure is there. It just needs to be added upon. And they've done little things here and there, like they've done the mixtape and all that. I just think it could be more and more and more. And if you bring back like Valkyrie is a part of Titanfall 3, you've got Mirage, who's like loosely tied to it, I think, in the lore. You've got all these different legends who are loosely tied to Titanfall 2. You put them all together, put it into a big old cake, and I think it works. So that's what I would do for if I was the CEO.
Well thought out, well explained. I'm here for it. I'm about it. I support the CEO-ship of White Bab.
Thank you.
With mine, I'm
100 Thieves. White Bab.
What?
I said.
I was gonna.
Wait, what was it? Games.
IGN.
IGN.
100 Thieves. White Bab.
There you go. There you go.
A legend. Okay, but for my CEO-ship of the day, what I would do, and this could end up being something that would be really bad, but I think it would be really interesting, and it could end up being, this could be like a horrible idea, but I think if we made it so that Apex, you had the ability to play it as like duos, trios, and then squads, and then have shorter splits, but have the splits be we'll have the splits for ranked be like, have 3 ranked splits and have 1 be duos, 1 be trios, 1 be quads, and then depending on how that would go, I would want to tempt the idea of having like quad comp, like comp Apex Legends with 4-man teams, or comp Apex. Yeah, because I think that's, I don't think duos is really, I mean, that could be something that could be nasty, but I think the more would probably make it, dude, I don't know. I think you could take it either way. But yeah, that's what I'd do if I was CEO.
Would you consider solos?
See, that's the thing. I mean, definitely don't think you have solos in ranked, like a ranked solos. Though with armor swaps, if there was a siphon mechanic, I think that you could definitely make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the devs have said that like Apex is supposed to be like they want it to be like a team-based game, and I respect that aspect of it. And so I think that I think that anybody who would really want to play solos to get the aspect of it that you want out of a solos, they're good enough to do that in duos. Because like if you're confident where you would want to run around and like win a 1v1, like a 1v1 lobby, you should be good enough to where you're like gonna run around and just roll through a lobby of 2-man.
I got you. I like it. I think it's a good idea. I've always wanted to try quads. I've always thought it was an interesting idea.
Didn't they say at the beginning of the game it was originally supposed to be a 4-person like per team, 4 per team, 15 people on the map, or 15 squads on the map? That was a long time ago, though. That was like a long time ago, but that would have been insane.
Could be fun. It could be good. I think comp could be nuts. Like think about like all of the different. You all of a sudden have 4 people to put on a roster, just like the different rosters that we'd see, like who goes where, what. Like obviously, I feel like there'd be some teams that would be splitting up and be wanting to join more established, high-performing teams. And it's like, okay, well, who's going to be NRGs? Who's going to be their 4th guy?
Dude,
Like who's gonna fill that spot for TSM? Like,
think about this, dude.
It could be so exciting.
I think with 4 people, it would then turn into so much more about roles than anything else at that point, right? Like, because now it's like you kind of have to do it all, and I do think that there would still be an aspect to that. But imagine having 1 extra person on your comp team that's like the best Gibby in the whole entire world. I just think that'd be crazy. Like, they're really good at whatever character, but
like more of defined positions.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Or
it could
what
be
if
a whole evolution to the game? Because like that's the thing. Like people talk about like, oh, Apex is dying. It's like there's so much untapped stuff that they could tweak and change that would just get so much attention and things back to it, and it could end up being like, I don't think it's crazy to think about like 10 years from now, us being four years deep of playing quads and being like, remember when this game used to be trios? Like that could happen.
Man, dude, I love that concept. I think it's fun. I think it's fun to talk about.
At the very least, do like an LTM of it first. Like, you know how they do like the 2-week cycle LTM? Like, do like a 2-week cycle and give everyone a taste. And I think starting from there, then we can kind of be like, dude, that was kind of fun. Like that was, and then you come up with all the team comps. Everybody's trying to find the best ones. You probably go on TikTok. These are the best team comps for 4-player Apex Legends. Here it is. And then you get like those videos going. Then you get content going. Now people are making full ass YouTube videos all of a sudden just from 1-2-week LTM, and a revolution starts,
Bro, think about this though. Okay, you're thinking about it in that way. I'm thinking about what if, like in comp, what if they made a rule for like during ALGS, you couldn't have more than one like class type on your team, because then that would make you very much are playing a specific role at that point too. So that's another thing that that's up in the air as well. But man, it's fun stuff.
All right, Finn.
You're up,
Let's
Finn.
hear it.
You're
All right,
up.
well, mine's. I think I'm probably not going to speak specifically about the game because I don't think that that's probably the direction I should go. But I think it's more so if I was the CEO for however long, I would announce that I would have a LAN in every single continent. And I think that would be awesome. Like, because I think, one, we have a super awesome international support system for this game of Apex. Like, I guess what Antarctica is not. That's a very obvious like no there.
No,
Okay.
fuck it. We ball.
We could do one. We could try it. I don't know what the connection and Wi-Fi would look like, but I think if we could have a LAN on every single continent in a span of a year, I think that would be super awesome. And I think it would give a lot of people opportunity to see their favorite players or their favorite teams in person. And it's just, I think that would be a very good, healthy way to continue on with the esport. But that's what I would do, because then obviously it means probably more money that you would be spending into esports. But that's what I would do if I was CEO for a day.
Hell yeah, I like that. I like that. If we did Antarctica, we could make the trophy out of ice, which I think would be super, super cool. Present it with a penguin. You won a penguin too. Congrats. Hopefully your house is cool enough to take care of it. It'd be like winning a goldfish at a local fair, except it's way more than a goldfish. It's a full ass penguin. Emperor, of course.
I think there's a lot of regulations that would be being broken to have wildlife taken out of
the man trying to keep us down, big penguin trying to keep us down, not letting us get penguins out here. No, that would be cool though. I would like that. I would like to see, especially with how much it's grown. Dude, I was actually thinking like, there's very few esports right now that I would put above ALGS, and I know I'm kind of biased because this is what I like to watch, but it's like, what, like CS? CS is hard to beat. Sometimes Call of Duty.
I think
but
we
not
got Call
really.
of Duty beat. I think the things that we're really competing with is League.
Rocket League.
No, not Rocket. I mean, Rocket League. Yes, they're pretty diehard, but I think overall Apex is. I don't know, dude. I think League of Legends. I think Valorant. I think CS:GO are like our biggest competition.
You think Valorant is up there?
Oh yeah, Valorant goes crazy, dude. It's nuts.
Really? I actually used to watch it when I would I put it on before I went to bed, like the Challengers stuff, and I would just fall asleep watching Valorant. So that makes sense. Okay, well, ladies and gents, let's round out the show by hitting a quick ad, and then on the other side, we'll get into our heart to hearts and send you on the rest of your week. All right, here we are, ladies and gents, with the heart to heart. It's heart to heart time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's kick it off. Who wants to go first? Nobody? Nobody's got it?
I can
first.
rip it.
Okay.
You
want
want
go
it?
ahead. No.
Okay.
No, you go.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that I've already touched on, but it's something that I'm been more mindful of, is just enjoying the time that I just enjoying where I'm at, and just enjoying the time that I have, because I know at one point, and maybe not the not so distant future, the way that my days are scheduled and the way the amount of time that I have to distribute to everything is going to look different. And so, which if all of those things fall into place, I'd be super excited about that. And that's definitely something that I'm optimistically looking forward to. But then, while still optimistically looking forward to what is going to be the future, just enjoying where I'm at right now as much as I can, and knowing that there's going to come a time where these aren't the way that my days are going to look, and things are going to look a lot more busier, and to just enjoy it and make as much out of the time that I have while I can. And yeah, just embracing everything from a positive outlook, because it's way more fun to do it that way than negative.
Beautiful. That's good stuff. Okay. Finn, do you want to go?
Ooh, I don't really. I mean, other than my birthday was really awesome, and I'm very thankful for my family. But I don't really have anything that I'm like, oh yeah, that for sure. I mean, I do think. Wow, I'm just talking my way into one. Okay, one thing that I'm going to try and get better at is, like I said earlier on, I got upset at work because I was playing bad, and I try to not let my performance on the game dictate how I feel emotionally, but I definitely have been failing in that recently, and so I think that that's something that I'm gonna hopefully get better at, and then be able to say, "Hey, I progressed in this area next week." But that's something for me to hold myself accountable for.
Or you just stop sucking.
Yeah, that too.
No, that's very relatable. I've been there, done that. I've had those streaks, 100%, and so I respect it, Fen. And getting to the point where you can have those bad days, because I mean those bad days are going to happen to everybody, and so being able to have those like bad performances and then be able to still like remain calm, cool, collected, and in control of yourself is definitely a skill that not too many people have. And so the more you work on that, I think you'll see like there's a bigger transfer over to like when you have other areas of your life where things that would happen where it'd like get an emotion out of you. And so it's cool that you have the opportunity to take something that's like gaming and then learn a skill that can transfer over to multiple other areas of life. So I felt like I had to add on that part after the the shit on advice at the beginning.
Just get good. Yeah. Okay, good. That was good, Finn. I'll round it out here with mine. It's weird. You know how like when you're younger and you're talking to an older person about their youth, they kind of always say the same thing. They kind of go along the lines of I was young and dumb and I felt invincible and like nothing could stop me. And then life kind of like slapped me in the face. I feel like I've heard that so many times from so many different people. And I feel like I'm entering that right now because my confidence level in just about everything that I do has been exceedingly low, which is not good because it affects so many parts of your life. But I just have not felt confident in a lot of the things that I've been doing recently, whether it be my job, my hobbies, my family life, all this different stuff, my friends. Like, I've just been feeling oddly just self-conscious and I like a lack of confidence in all of those areas. And I think it's because, I'm coming to terms with the fact that I'm not invincible. I'm not, the greatest who's ever been. And I think when you're younger, you kind of just naturally, you're just that's what it is. But I'm feeling that right now because I don't know, like maybe it's, the baby on the way or could be a lot of different things, but I've just been feeling really not confident. And one thing that's been helping me is I see a lot of guys at work who typically when I have a bad day at work, it shows, and you just know like it hasn't been a good day, and I'm not very good at hiding how I feel and being able to like put a smile on and just keep going. Whereas other guys at work, they'll have like awful shit happen to them, especially like the mechanics, and they'll just kind of smile, wipe the sweat off their brow, and just keep going and find a way to laugh it off and do all this different type of stuff. And I respect the hell out of that because I don't have that ability, and I think they don't let their situation dictate how they're going to feel, which is something Enoch said a bunch of times. And that doesn't necessarily translate to feeling more confident about my situation. But I do think if I was able to hone in more and be able to not let certain things just control my mood for the day, I think it would definitely help because a lot of times what people say about confidence is you fake it till you make it. You just, you may not be the most confident person in the world, but if you can act like it, it'll just translate at some point. And that's kind of how I had originally gotten my confidence when I was, entering my 20s and stuff like that, was that exact philosophy. And so I'm going to be trying to adopt that more. And like today, I had a pallet of 20 trailer drums, which are about 100 pounds a piece. 20 of them, it fell over while I was trying to load it onto the back of a truck that I had to deliver to a town that was like 45 minutes away. And it completely fell and all of the drums went everywhere. And instead of just doing whatever, getting mad and just wishing that I wasn't where I was, it was more of just like I just kind of took everything in, just kind of took in the heat, took in the sweat, took in all of that. I was just like, well, at least I'm here. Like, at least I'm alive. At least I'm kicking. And when I'm done with this, I'm going to get to go home to my family, and I'm going to get to, sit down with the girls and relax and do all that kind of stuff. So that was like a first step. It's not going to happen that way every time, because I guarantee if I drop another pallet of 20 drums tomorrow, I won't have the same attitude probably, because it's not fun to lift those up and put them on a new pallet and try to deliver them. But at least for this situation, I was able to do it. So working on my confidence in life and trying to regain that feeling I had. I may never have that youthfulness feeling again, but I can definitely feel confident in what I do, because I think I do a lot throughout the week, and I think I accomplish a lot throughout the week, and I just don't give myself the credit for it. So that's my heart to heart, is just working on the fact that, I may not be exactly where I want to be, but that doesn't mean I haven't done shit. And I just got to keep telling myself that. So that's my heart to heart. And yeah, feeling good, working on feeling good every day. Ladies and gents, that should just about round out the show for this week. And we can't wait to talk more about season 18 coming up here soon, because we're probably going to have a lot more information by next week. And that will be really exciting, because I am in that lull, man. I'm so ready for a new season. Actually, the new season will be next week. It'll literally be next week. So we will have all of the information there. We might have to record early, because our video editor has some things going on. So we may not get the full scope of everything. But at the very least, I think we should have the patch notes in our hands ready to talk about. So that will be awesome. Cannot wait for that. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, don't forget to click the link down below. Follow along with our social medias. Follow along into our Discord. Say what's up. Say what you would do as the Apex CEO. Follow us on Twitter. Follow along with that tweet that we will be putting out. And thank you guys so much for tuning in the show. Finn.
Yes, why I got something.
Yeah.
I also, if you listen to this portion of the show, first off, we thank you, because we're doing a heart to heart, right? So we very much appreciate it. If you do enjoy the show and you haven't already, make sure you go on whatever your podcast app, or if this is on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button. But if you're on a podcast app, make sure you leave us a review and tell us how we're doing. If you enjoy the show, make sure you rate us. That helps the podcast out for distributing wise. So that is something to be doing. I just wanted to throw that out there, because we haven't mentioned that in quite some time. So
yeah. Leave a like, leave a review, 5-star review on Apple, and I think on Spotify they added the review thing where you can just tap a star. I don't think you can type anything out, but yeah, those really do help if you enjoy the show. But yeah, so okay, all right, ladies and gents, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of the Apex podcast. See you.